All right, here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation. CP the franchise here. We have a special edition of KnicksFanTV because I'm being joined by an absolute legend. He is an NBA Hall of Famer, soon to be two-time Hall of Famer, led the New York Knicks to 2 NBA championships, and was recently named to the NBA's top 75 greatest players of all time. He is our legend, Walt, Clyde, Frazier. Clyde, welcome to the KnicksFanTV. How you doing today?
Yeah, thank you, man. It's always a pleasure talking with you guys.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I'd like to talk about the promotion that you're doing with DoorDash, because it's a pretty cool promotion that you're working on to close out the next season.
Yeah, I am, man. I really appreciate DoorDash hiring me and letting me represent them. And they've done an excellent job. I'm wearing suits for some of the local restaurants that we're embellishing under the auspices of DoorDash, where people can call in and order food, of course. And we know the lifeline of New York are our restaurants, especially the local restaurants. So we're trying to get more attention towards that. And I wore a suit the other night, and I got all this kudos from the players. Everybody loved the design that I had on, representing one of the restaurants. And so I have 2 more suits to wear. I'm going to be doing Hung Dynasty tomorrow night. I'll be in all red with a white shirt, white tie. So it should be very provocative. So DoorDash likes my style and wanted me to use these suits, and I'm having fun with it.
Absolutely. And I believe for the fans to get involved at home, they can go to DoorDash for that particular restaurant and use promo code Clyde for a discount?
Yeah, of course. Check it out. Remember, I had Clyde's Wine and Dine, man, but the pandemic got to us, so I wish we still had that one going. So we definitely get a lot of people calling in, but they could check it out that way and hopefully get the New York market. I see the mayor's trying to get everybody back into the buildings. The city is still suffering a little bit from the pandemic.
Yeah.
So people are not out and about like they used to be, but they're still ordering in. So DoorDash is a good option for them to order.
A good option indeed, and great idea. And speaking of style, Clyde, no one does style quite like you. Your style is world renowned. What was your inspiration behind that style? The eccentric suits, the large brim hats, the Rolls Royce. What was your inspiration behind that?
Being in the Mecca, the Mecca for fashion, style, whatever. When I came into the league, we wore suits to every game. We were always trying to outdress each other. And our idols were the Temptations, the Four Tops. So these guys, when they performed, they wore suit and ties. Like today, these players emulate the rappers. They dress like the rappers. But man, we were all decked out in suit and tie, and that's how the style started for me. And one day I was in Baltimore, and I see this wide brim hat. And I bought the hat, and that's evolved into the Clyde. The movie Bunny and Clyde came out about 2 weeks later. So I've always been into style and fashion, but never had the money, until I got to the Knicks and signed the contract, and then in the city, going out, having fun, the greatest city in the world, winning championships, bought the Rolls Royce. So it was all a culmination of all these things that developed my style.
Now, with your style, all your suits are custom made, bespoke. What goes into that design process? How do you go about creating a suit?
I create a suit by finding the fabric. Once I see the fabric, I know if I want a peak lapel, a notch lapel, a shawl collar, whether I have a vent in the back, double pockets, slanted pockets. So I have a tailor, the guy Mohans. I used to take it to Mohans, and we helped design the suits in the pants, whether I wanted pleated pants with the cuff or straight cuff. So I shop till I drop, man. like when the season's over, like now the season's over, I start shopping. So I was making maybe 12 suits a year. I make at least 12 suits. So between 7th and 8th Avenue, from 35th Street to 40th, I just walk in and out of fabric stores. So I walk in and out of all the fabric. Sometimes it takes me months. I might not find anything. that I like. I'm looking for something different, something provocative. So once I find, I get a lot of swatches for the suits, then I have to find the shirts. Then I have to find the buttons. Then I have a tie maker. I have to go get the ties. So it's a whole process, man, but it's something I really enjoy because when I wear something, someone go, hey, Clyde, I really like that. Like the other night, I wore the first suit for DoorDash, and the players were saying, hey, Clyde, I like that suit, man. That's a cool suit. And then we left after the game going to Orlando. We got to Orlando, women that didn't even know me, they were taking pictures of that suit, man. So they were like, oh, that's a good suit. And, that makes it worthwhile for me that, all the time that I put into this, that somebody really appreciates it. And people are always telling me, okay, I was going into the locker room and coming out was Tibbs' mother. Mm. Right? I never met him, never saw his mother. His mother goes, I know you. I see you on TV all the time, she says. And I love those suits you wear. So the Tibbs came up to me, hey, Clyde, thanks for being nice to my mom, man. She really enjoyed meeting you. So it's those type of scenarios, man, that keep me motivated about what I'm doing. Styling and profiling.
Styling and profiling. You got to love it. Mama Thibodeau loving your style. Clyde, so speaking of style and designers, I always wanted to know, did you ever work with Dapper Dan, the famed designer and clothier who was established uptown in Harlem?
No, I never did. I used to endorse, when I was playing Ripley clothes and some of the things, but I never had like these guys, I never had a stylist. I pretty much been my own stylist. I tell people my imagination is my only limitation, man.
Right.
This is all out of my head, my creativity that I come up with this stuff. I'm always looking for styles, fashion. Back in the 70s, Fifth Avenue was the fashion capital of the world. Mm. You could go there, everybody was dressed in suits, ties, all different nationality people. And I used to copy a lot of there were no phones then. I didn't, couldn't take a picture, but in my head, I saw things that combination I never saw. I saw this and that. So that's what I'm saying. Being in the Mecca, I've seen so much, and that has helped me put together my style and my creativity.
Hey, you talked about being in the Mecca and the development of the brand that is Clyde, styling and profiling, and the era of Studio 54, and really being one of those movers and shakers in New York back in those days. But the other side of you, which is Walt, or Walter, as some may call you, was known to be a bit more reserved, more laid back, and mild-mannered. How did you manage that dichotomy, and did you ever succumb to that brand of Clyde where, it kind of overtook Walt?
It's a good question, man, because personally I'm quiet and shy, and Clyde was my alter ego. Clyde was a guy that operated from 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. He seeked the limelight. He wanted to be seen. Otherwise, I'm Walt. I'm home, no entourage. The guy that just loved to play basketball, and, happy I was in New York City doing what I was doing. So, I kind of kept him in perspective. I never lost perspective of Clyde. I knew I was in New York, that was to play basketball. This was my career, and to win basketball games. And normally when we weren't losing, you never see me out. I didn't go out. The food didn't taste as good. The music didn't sound as good. I wasn't as flamboyant. So I was lucky. We had about 7 or 8 years where we were the premier team in the league. So every night after the game, I'm out, man. I'm out and about. I'm having a good time. I didn't need a kitchen. I eat out every day, every night. I was out somewhere having fun, enjoying the trappings of New York, but nothing that I ever dreamt about. My only dream was to be in the NBA, to help my family. And, just making it was enough for me. I never envisioned the stardom that I gained. And here we are 50 years later, man. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
50 years later, we're here talking about Clyde and style and the team that I played on, man. It's just magnificent.
An incredible journey indeed. Now, another aspect of fashion that I think you deserve so much more credit for is the sneaker game. Because we look at the sneaker game now and the NBA and the confluence of the two, where you can't even watch a game nowadays without knowing what sneakers the player had on, what color, the customization, so on and so forth. But you signed the first sneaker endorsement deal with Puma, I believe, in 1973. How do you reflect back on that and being a true pioneer and looking at where things have gone now in terms of the enormous endorsement deals and the popularity of sneakers and the NBA?
Yeah, I know you're right. In 73, a guy approached me and he said, Clyde, would you be interested in endorsing a shoe? So in those days, they gave us shoes, but nobody was getting paid to wear a shoe. So the guy got me with Puma, and, the shoe was so heavy and clunky, man. I said, man, even if you paid me, I couldn't wear that shoe. They go, no, we want you to help us design it. So I kind of helped them design and make it a lighter shoe, more flexible shoe, and it came out in suede, which was an aberration. Nobody was using suede at the time. So that was a difference in the shoe. So we had Knicks colors. We had blue and we had red with an orange stripe. And, man, we sold so many shoes in New York, they couldn't keep them in the store. And the Clyde, then they put my name on it, the Clyde, the Puma Clyde. And the rest is history. Like 40 years now, I've still been involved with that shoe. R.J. Barrett wears the Clyde.
Right.
Right. He wasn't even born, man, when I was doing that. So, to still be involved with the organization and all of that. And that's why I'm happy I'm with DoorDash, man. I'm hoping my relationship can evolve like that with them because, now the delivery service is something new the last 2 years because of the pandemic. People weren't going out, so they're ordering things in. And DoorDash is being very creative, and I'm hoping I can have a little longevity with them too, and the creativity and what they're doing.
Absolutely. Now, onto your legendary playing career. Now, this year you added another accomplishment to your already decorated resume, and that is being named to the top 75 greatest players of all time, the NBA celebrating its 75th anniversary. What does that mean to you to still be recognized? So many players have come and gone through this game, so many greats, but your name rings true among the top 75.
It's a blessing. It's a true blessing. I never dreamt of being in the Hall of Fame. And obviously I was lucky enough to be one of the 50 greatest players. That was at that point the most magnificent honor I had ever achieved. Because when you look at all the players that have played in the league, to be just one of 50 out of thousands and thousands of players, and then now to come back to be one of the 75 greatest, just adding to that legacy and the blessing. I was fortunate enough to play with some great coaches. Red Holtzman was the catalyst for me when I was inducted to the Basketball Hall of Fame in 1987. I had him do the introduction because I thought he was so instrumental in my career. Then to play with Willis Reed, a guy I idolized who was a tenacious worker on the court. I copied the way he carried himself, how he dealt with the fans, his handwriting, his whole style, man. I had Dick Barnett, who was a sharp dresser. So I had all these very positive role models on the Knicks that molded my career on and off the court, man, and making me standing on the shoulders of a lot of people today to be proud of, and receiving the honors of one of the 50 greatest, one of the 75 greatest. Now, like you say, a two-time Hall of Famer, first guy ever to be honored as a basketball player and also as an announcer in the Hall of Fame. So, God is good, man. I pray often, and that's why I'm so humble. Whenever you see the Clyde, he's laughing. I'm signing autographs. I'm talking to people. Because it's something that I never expected, and I'm very appreciative.
Yeah, your humility is certainly admirable. There are two players who are also in that top 75 who, when I go through your older interviews and through the book, When the Garden of Eden, you seem to, really carry a chip on your shoulder being compared to them and wanting your respect as it pertained to those guys. And that was Oscar Robertson and Jerry West. Can you talk a little bit about how those guys, motivated you throughout your career to truly be great?
Yeah, Oscar Robertson was one of my idols. He was the best in the game, a gentleman on and off the court. So I try to emulate him in many ways in being an all-around player. And Jerry West, of course, similar to Oscar, another great player, one of the best shooters in the game. So I had my battles with those guys. I caught them in the tail of their career. But they were definitely an inspiration for me. And, when I was on the All-Star team, man, I sat in the back. I kept my mouth shut. I just listened to those guys talk, try to learn whatever I could from them. Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Hundo Havlicek. So there were so many great players during my era that I copied their style. Like I say, my dress style I got from Barnett. I just added my creativity to it. So a lot of what Oscar did, I did, but then I added my defensive tenacity. He and West were not as renowned for their defense as I was, so I kind of created that to be kind of a little different from them and try to control the game on both ends of the floor. But, those guys were definitely instrumental in my career and getting me into the Hall of Fame.
Game 7 of the 1970 NBA Finals. The greatest performance, Clyde. I don't care what they say about Giannis, LeBron, Michael Jordan. 36 points, 19 assists, 7 rebounds, 5 steals, to me, is the greatest Game 7 performance of all time. But I think that the thing that I really admire about that performance is that throughout that 70s playoffs, you only average about 19 points per game against Monroe and the Bullets in the semifinals. Against the Bucks, you only averaged about 9 points. It was your defense that was on display. And in the book, When the Garden was Eden, your former teammate at Southern Illinois, Dick Garrett, asks this question. He says, you don't think Walt could have scored 30 points a game if he needed to or wanted to? And to me, that really speaks to your selflessness as it pertained to this team and doing what you had to do to help this team win games. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, once we reach the playoffs, when the guys go out on the court, I'm the last guy to go. Holtzman will pull me over. Like if we're playing the Bullets, he'll go, Clyde, forget about offense. I want you to focus on defense. Just stay on Earl. So, that's what I do. And the same thing with Milwaukee. They had prolific guards, and that's why I didn't score that many. I was focusing on defense. Ironically, Game 7, when I left the locker room, he pulled me aside. Clyde, he said, hit the open man. Get everybody involved. So when I went on the court, that was my thing. But as the game evolved, I was the open man. Every time I came over the screen, I was open. So I just started shooting. I started stealing the ball. I was doing what I was doing, but I never envisioned that type of game because, Red had told me, get everybody involved in the game. Don't worry about offense. Just get everybody else. Move the ball. So when I came up with 36 and 19, man, 7 rebounds, 4 steals, I was elated. But if not for Willis Reed, if Willis Reed didn't show the courage that he did coming out playing, I would not have had that game because the crowd became so provocative. And once Willis made his first 2 shots, the die was cast. We were floating. We had so much confidence. And then after that, I just believe I could do anything. Once I started playing, I was on cloud 9.
In each of these games when you're broadcasting, you typically use the term cool, calm, and collected. Did you ever feel pressure as a player, Clyde?
Always. Before each game, there's always pressure. I found that if you don't feel pressure, you're overconfident. If you're not nervous prior to a game, you think you can beat that team. It's the same with broadcasting. I'm always nervous before the game. But once I get on the air, then it goes away. But I always tell kids, it's one thing to be nervous and one thing to be afraid. You should not be afraid. You know, being nervous is one thing, but not be afraid of playing the game. So I'm always nervous before I hardly do anything. And coming on with you guys, you know, there's apprehension. You know, I feel it in once I get into it, you know, I start moving and grooving, wheeling, dealing, you know, doing my things that I do to gain confidence and get relaxed.
You know, before we get into your broadcasting career, there was another quote that stuck out to me that you said this weekend. That was, I learned more from my losses. And we always speak about your decorated resume, but what was the lowest point in your career, the biggest setback in your career, and how did you overcome that, and what did you learn?
Yeah, I said I learned more from losing than I ever did from winning. That started in high school. Okay, when I was in high school, I was a quarterback, 10th grade, but I was a third-string quarterback. So the first-string quarterback got injured, second string got injured, and now I'm the guy. In my school, we were perennial winners, man. We always win, and we started losing. Everybody blamed me. You know, I didn't even want to go to school, man. My mom would, you know, everybody couldn't go to. Everybody was saying, man, this guy. So I found out then how people were, man, how they could turn on you, you know, and that season I learned. So now basketball season started. I'm in the 10th grade. Then I become the star of the basketball team. So all these people that were dogging me for football, now they're on my bandwagon. You know, I'm the greatest, and that's when I learned the lesson how people can be capricious, man. They can turn on you. Like Randall, you know, like Randall he found out how capricious people can be, man. But, you know, that's the way it is when you're in sports. When you're up, everybody's on your side. When you're losing, you lose alone. Nobody's with you, just a team. So that's why I say I learned more from losing. That year I learned, you know, how people can be with you and they'll abandon you and they'll blame you. So then obviously my junior, senior year, I'm all city, all state and everything. I never heard any negativity, nothing but positive things. But I never forgot the 10th grade when only my mother had kind words for me. You know, my mom was saying, well, you know, you're doing the best you can do. You got to go to school, son. You got to do this to try to be that, you know. Even my sisters, man, you guys, you know, they say rehearse. You guys ever rehearse? You know, they call it practice. You guys stink, man. You guys always lose it. No one had mercy for you, man. So, you know, from losing, I learned that. And obviously coming to New York, too, my first few years on the Knicks, we were terrible. You know, we weren't a good team. So you feel the wrath of the fans and the anger of the fans and all of that. And so it's a learning experience, but I learned more from that losing than I did from winning.
We're talking to the legendary Clyde Frazier. And Clyde, this year, to add on to your resume, you were being recognized with the Kurt Gowdy Award for Broadcasting Excellence by the Basketball Hall of Fame. When did you know that you wanted to shift into broadcasting once your playing career was over?
Well, ironically, when I was inducted to the Basketball Hall of Fame, 1987, I was doing a series of interviews, and the Knicks approached me about perhaps doing some radio and TV. So up until that time, I never thought of, you know, doing that. I mean, I retired in 1980, so that was a transitional period where I was just trying to adjust to not playing basketball. So I wasn't doing anything. So I said, yeah, I'll give it a try. And that's how I got into the broadcasting.
Wow. Well, you know, Clyde, to see that, you know, you're not only a Hall of Famer for your legendary basketball career, but as a broadcaster, that's a tremendous accomplishment. And as a Knicks fan, you know, that's something that, you know, we certainly take pride in. We appreciate all that you've given to us as a player, as a broadcaster, and as someone who served in this community for so many years. You know, you've given so much to us. And so I really just wanted to give you your flowers, and it was an honor to speak to you today, to celebrate these accomplishments and as well as promote the DoorDash promotion that you're working on. So thanks again for your time.
Yeah, thank you, man. A great job. Very provocative questions. I appreciate it.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.
Good afternoon, everybody. First and foremost, I'm going to give a round of applause to Signature Bank and the Barnett Foundation for putting on a great event. My name is Casey Powell. I'm the creator and host of KnicksFanTV, also host of NBA Radio and SiriusXM. I want to salute these two legends up here on the dais, Clyde and Dr. Barnett. Thank you for bringing us 2 championships to New York. I'm still waiting on the third, and it's like I envy you as a fan because you've seen these 2 illustrious championships. It's still a mystery for me, but I'm still holding out hope. My question is for Clyde. You know, a lot of the times when I speak to the generation who saw these championships, they always talk about the teamwork that you guys exhibited, how together you guys were, the cohesiveness of that team on the inside. And on the outside, you know, America was going through so much, whether it's, you know, the Vietnam War or the assassination of King and so many of our leaders and Kent State, so much turmoil going on in the country. So my question is, what impact did those events have on the locker room, and how were you guys able to keep it together, that you were able to play together and win a championship?
I was so blessed to be one of the young guys on the team. I mentioned Barnett was one of my idols, the captain, Willis Reed. His tenacity on the court, the leadership that he provided. Bill Bradley. Bradley's on the board of Barnett's Foundation. He's not here today, but Bradley put a lot of pressure on all of us because when people approached him, man, he would be the first guy to go to Harlem to do something for black people, you know, without hesitation. And I'm like, man, this is what I should be doing. But Barnett was always in the forefront with that, a guy named Walt Bellamy, Willis. So they were very cognizant of what was going on. And that's why the Knicks became so popular. Because with all the turmoil in the world, all the excruciating circumstances, for 2 or 3 hours, you could watch white guys and black guys playing as a team. Unselfish basketball, hit the open man, defense. You know, and we became a hit with the Garden crowd because before that, the games were just on cable. You know, they weren't on Friday night Knicks. I used to hate Friday night Knicks because that was my party night, and then we started playing on Friday night, man. But the cohesion you mentioned, I mentioned Red Holtzman was the catalyst. He was colorblind. He never saw color. You work hard in practice, you get in the game. You know, Bill Bradley, Dave DePusher, all these guys. I never met their parents, but I'm sure their parents were like my parents. And I mentioned my grandfather and father taught me never look down on a man. Their parents did the same thing. Unselfish play. We knew that when the team win, everybody win. There's no I in team. You know, so that was never a problem about who took the shots as long as we got it done. Willis Reed was an excellent leader. Everything you heard about the captain was true. Barnett probably owes about $25,000 right now. He's always borrowing money from Willis. Willis would loan you his car, man, whatever. He was just a big country boy, but always giving 110% on the court. Never letting you get down no matter what the circumstance. So you guys all saw the clip about the Willis Reed game. You know, at the time I was 25 years old. And I thought I was the MVP, so I never held a grudge against Willis because the good times were way more than the bad times. So the captain, if he didn't do what he did, I would not have had that game. And I did not know until recently that he had been in the training room all morning. I think he'd been over at Madison Square Garden like 8 a.m. You know, there was no social media then, so we couldn't call and see what people were doing. So the captain, we just begged him, man, if you could just come out. So I'll never forget Chamberlain, West, and Bailey, 3 of the greatest players to ever play the game. When Willis came out, they were psyched out. They stopped doing what they were doing. They started staring at Willis. And I go, man, we got these guys. And you guys got so vociferous, the crowd started yelling. And then Willis made his first shot. Then he made his second shot. I go, there's nothing wrong with this guy, man. But the die was cast. After that, the Lakers were psyched. And, you know, we would go on to win that first championship. But obviously, as you were mentioning, man, it's all about the team. You know, success. I had great coaches throughout my career. I played 12 years in the NBA. I never had a technical foul call against me. Because growing up, my coaches never allowed me to argue with the refs, so I was never in the habit of that. And I remember this coach said, success, Frazier, success, son. There's no elevator to success. You gotta earn it, man. You gotta earn it. So Barnett, like myself, growing up under excruciating circumstances, you always had to give 110%. Growing up under the pressure of segregation, you know 99.5 won't do. You gotta give 100, man, 110% to get that job. And at that time, there was a quota system. Only so many blacks on each team. Maybe 2 blacks on a team, or 3 blacks on a team, so you had to deal with that. But, you know, I still would not give anything for that experience. And like I said, being one of the younger guys, I had so many positive role models to guide me. And when those scenarios were happening with Martin Luther King, Willis Reed, you know, we would go to sit-ins, but Willis was one guy who you could not take on sit-ins. If you hit Willis, he's going to hit you back. So we would tell, okay, Willis, you don't have to go. You know? But the rest of us, we were always there, cognizant of projecting a positive image, especially for our youth.
Thank Dr. Dick Barnett, Walt, Clyde, Frazier. I was there May 8th, 1970. I was 13 years old. Grew up a big sports fan because my father and my love of cinema came from my mother. Was born in the same hospital you were, Clyde. I was born in Great Hospital, Atlanta. And when you moved to the People's Republic of Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn Public Education, kindergarten to John Hughes High School in Coney Island. I went to the event, but when they had the memorial of Kobe Bryant. It was in called the Staples Center. And afterwards, I went up to Jerry West. I said, Jerry, I was there. And when Willis walked out, you, Will Chamberlain, because I saw it, just like you described it, Clyde. They were in the way, Clyde came out, Willis came out after teams just started their warm-up. And Willis dragged his leg out. To this day, that's the loudest. My ears almost split open. I've never heard a noise. I've been to Super Bowls, all types of stuff, World Series. But May 8, 1970, never heard a noise like that. And as you said, Clyde, Wilt Chamberlain, Elgin Baylor, Jerry West. The whole team stopped their layup line, like they were frozen. So I went up to Jerry West. I said, Jerry, I was there. You stopped. No, he said, no, Spike, it wasn't me, that was everybody else. And I said, Jerry, that was you. And then Elgin Baylor walked in, the late widow. And I didn't want to ask him that because I knew, I saw with my eyes. The whole team, Laker team stopped. And we won that. Another thing, Clyde, I used to go to this club called the West Boondock. And my father played there, bass, Bill Lee. And you signed something. My father came up to you, this is my son Spike, boom, boom, I still got it. So I want to thank you for doing everything. And one last thing, Clyde. Has any New York Knicks point guard ever come up to you, all the years you've been on radio, and if any New York Knicks point guard say, Clyde, teach me something. I'm listening. Give me a tip. What am I doing wrong?
Only Allen Houston and Greg Anthony.
And Greg Anthony?
Yeah.
That's a goddamn
30 something.
I'm telling you, if I could ask out of Hitchcock and weight filmmakers, I'd be like writing this stuff down. Thank you.
Down the line with the floater, but it's
Thomas and Canby also must get some much needed offensive.
rebounding. Here's Walt Frazier. Also recently selected among the top 50 greatest players in the history of the league.
Rejected. Clyde, that's gotta hurt.
Yeah, no play for Mr. Conditioning, switching, post intensities, and all those things work well.
Clyde, growing up in New York, my fondest memories of the NBA were watching you and those incredible Knicks championship teams. I was in awe of your greatness, and like so many of your fans, proudly wore my Puma Clydes every single day and for every occasion. What we didn't know at the time, though, was that you would follow your legendary playing career with an equally iconic broadcasting career. Generations of Knicks fans have had the privilege of hearing you call games for more than 30 years with your colorful, smooth, and distinct style. You're a true original, so it's only fitting that you'll become the first person inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame as both a player and broadcaster. Congratulations on this remarkable honor. You really earned it.
Hi everybody, it's Nancy Lieberman, Basketball Hall of Famer, but more importantly, I get a chance to talk about somebody who was so inspirational to me in my basketball career and in my life. I wore number 10 because he wore number 10. I'm talking about the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Famer and my friend, Walt Frazier. And not only, Walt, have you done it again, you're in the Hall of Fame as a player, but now you get the Kurt Gowdy Media Award, which is unbelievable for what you've done, by the way. Thank you for influencing my life on levels that I could never even thank you enough for. But I look back at what you've done, and more importantly, you helped me with my vocabulary. Because you said words that I didn't even know were words. I had to go look it up, and now I'm more of an academic because of you. But on a serious note, congratulations on being a two-time Hall of Famer. You deserved it. I love you, I admire you, I appreciate you, and thank you for changing so many lives.
Take a look at Lynn and what he does best. Penetrates, creates, and showing some dexterity as well with the left hand. Rising on peculiar, and the left hand ain't that peculiar.
What's good, OG? Clyde. Q Rich, man, want to just say congrats on getting the Kurt Gowdy Media Award, going to the Hall of Fame for a second time in the second career, doing it big time, man. Always respected you, had great memories. I remember when I first got a chance to come there and see you wearing your fashion and your outfits and doing it big on the sidelines, man. Much respect, OG. Congratulations, much love.
One-on-one with Antetokounmpo, shoots over two. Offensive rebound, Chandler to Bargnani.
What is he doing? What is he doing, folks? Why would he shoot the ball? Why?
Clyde, they basically had it set up for free throws and a chance to ice the game. And Bargnani, for reasons only known to him, took the three.
He never hesitated. Gathered himself to take the shot.
Hi, Clyde. I'm here at Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena, right under your number 10 jersey, which is hanging from the rafters. I want to congratulate you on the Kurt Gowdy Award. You're going to be the first person ever inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame as both a player and a broadcaster. It's been an honor to be your friend and broadcast partner. You're so beloved, not only all over New York, but the entire basketball community, the entire world has so much respect for the great Walt Clyde Frazier. You're so nice to everybody you come in contact with. When we've worked together, you've never turned down an autograph request or a photo request from a fan. Just an all-time great guy. So again, congratulations on the Kurt Gowdy Award. I can't wait to be there in September and look forward to working with you for many, many years. Congratulations, Clyde.
Good evening, everybody. Kenny Albert along with Walt. Elvis Frazier. Clyde, welcome to Memphis.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Kenny. Could be a whole lot of shaking going on tonight.
Hey, so my memories of Clyde, there's just a million of them. It's when I was a sports writer sitting with him in the dining hall, the dining rooms before games on the road, and just talking basketball with him and having a meal, and just being able to know that I could walk up to a legend like that and talk basketball with him. And he was always willing to show his championship rings anytime I wanted to see him. And also, there was a time in LA where he was wearing one of his resplendent sport coats. In fact, it was a cheetah print sport coat, and I felt, I gotta take a picture of this because he looks amazing. And I put it on social media and it went viral. And the next day when I saw him, because everybody picked up on it, they saw it, and he said to me, "Hey, you're the guy that made me famous again." And I laughed because, haven't you always been famous? Clyde Frazier, the great one, the man, the myth, the legend, a Hall of Famer 2 times, and a Hall of Famer really for all of us just as a person. Congratulations, Clyde.
I started on radio, so you have to be more descriptive. So the dishing and swishing, posting and toasting, so all those things work well on the radio.
It's you now. It's like I can't, if I hear any word rhyme, I'm like, Clyde, that's it.
He's been hell-bent, steadfast, a juggernaut on the glass.
Clyde, this is CP the Franchise, creator and host of KnicksFanTV, and on behalf of Knicks fans worldwide, congratulations on receiving the 2022 Curt Gowdy Media Award, entering the Basketball Hall of Fame for the second time, once as a player and now as a broadcaster. This incredible distinction is a testament to your talent, your dedication, your passion, your style, and your flair. To be a symbol of New York basketball as a broadcaster in the same fashion that you were as a player is truly an incredible feat. You are truly a one of one, and it's been an honor to hear you call Knick games over the past few decades, through the good times and the bad times. So thank you, Clyde, for your commitment to the game and to the community as well.
Congratulations, Clyde, for being the first person going into the Hall as a player and a pontificator. You like that alliteration. Hell, I thought I took liberties with the King's English. As a fellow recipient of the Curt Gowdy Award, here's my unsolicited suggestion. I'm not dishonorably discharging the honor, but if you can trade the plaque for a gas card, I submit dishing it with the deftness of Game 7 in the 1970 finals. Speaking as one of your admirers, Andrew Taylor, you're a well-deserving recipient, if for no other reason than keeping your sanity while hanging around the Garden all these eons waiting for the second coming or a third championship, whichever gets here first.
The potential is there for them to be very good, but a lot of questions have to be answered.
Yeah, Ewing must remain healthy. Charles and Ward must provide the leadership in the backcourt. The new acquisition, Thomas and Camby, also must get some much-needed offensive balance and some defensive tenacity as well.
Hey, it's me, Allen Houston. I wanted to express my appreciation and gratitude for just being able to be around, Walt for so many years. My fondest memory is just recently being able to have dinner with him and hearing the stories. You hear stories on television, you hear stories in passing, but to sit down and have dinner and just get a glimpse of history, and not just the occasions on the basketball court, but off the court. It's been amazing. I think as a New York Knicks player, you come into the Madison Square Garden and you have a standard that you kind of want to try to live up to, and footsteps that you want to walk into, and Clyde is that. So just want to thank you for being a model and an example, not just of championship character and professional and competitiveness, but how you've been able to make an impact even off the court in treating education and being able to speak and express yourself in an eloquent way, in a colorful way as well. So I just want to thank you for just being a mentor, someone, you know, that I think every Knicks player really just looks to. So congratulations again, and again and again. I mean, I feel like we just keep congratulating you, man. So anyway, God bless. Thank you.
Kobe, I met him a couple of times at All-Star games. First time I met him, I was like, who is this kid? He was so cocky, shooting the ball all the time. He thought he was Michael Jordan. And in the end, he came close, folks. Tenacious attitude, work ethic, indomitable spirit, take no prisoners type of attitude on the court. So that was Kobe Bryant, no friends once he got between the lines. So he wanted to be the best. He won the 5 titles, effervescent personality.
Hey Clyde, it's Bob Costas. Congratulations on winning the Kurt Gowdy Award, and in so doing becoming the first person ever to enter the Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield as both a player and now as a broadcaster. Get to the broadcasting part in a second, but as I look back on your epic career, one of the 50 greatest players a quarter century ago, and naturally enough, when they updated it this year, one of the 75 greatest, the single moment that stands out, or the single night at Madison Square Garden, is Game 7 of the NBA Finals in 1970. Willis was inspirational. He set the tone. It was dramatic when he came out and hit his first 2 shots, but you took it from there, and sometimes I think people forget the stat line. 36 points, 19 assists, 7 rebounds. They didn't officially keep track of steals back then, but you had a whole bunch of them too. It might have been the single greatest performance in Game 7 of an NBA Finals ever. No doubt that night, you were dishing and swishing. You were weaving and achieving. You were bounding and astounding. You were beguiling and bedeviling the Lakers all night long. It was the signature performance of one of the most distinctive and stylish careers in NBA history. Part of the reason why you're in as a player. And you're just as distinctive and just as stylish as a broadcaster. Think about all the great Knicks players over the years and the coaches who are enshrined in Springfield, and you're part of that. But now, in the broadcaster's wing, you also join Marty Glickman and Marv Albert and Mike Breen, an enduring and everlasting part of the New York Knicks, on the court and on the air. Congratulations, Clyde.